Welcome everybody. I know a few of you are struggling with dividing of decimals, so I'm making a little video here to show you two strategies that you can use for that. Over here we're going to use a place value chart, and on this side we're going to use the algorithm or long division. So most of the problems are moving towards you using this method, but we're doing this method first so you understand how this works and why that works. Because really, they're the same steps. They're just written a different way. So let's solve our problem right here. We've got 1 and 324 thousandths, because this is the thousandths place. That's how I know what to call that number. That's our unit. It's the last number you get to behind the decimal. That would be our unit, so it's thousandths. And we're dividing it by 2. So what I've done is I've created a place value chart. Up here I'm going to represent this number in picture form, and then down here I'm going to divide it by 2. That's why I have 2 spaces down here, and I just put a dotted line to separate those 2 spaces so that I could see that this section was different than this one. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. I have 1, 1, so I'm just going to represent that like this right there. I have 3 tenths. I have 2 hundredths. And I have 4 thousandths. Okay. So now when I divide them up, I'm going to divide them by 2. Well, already I have a problem because I have 1. I can't divide that up into 2 spaces equally. So I'm going to have to take this 1, 1, and I'm going to have to move it over here to the tenths place. The problem is 1, 1 is not 1/10. They're not the same thing. That wouldn't make sense. So 1, 1 is 10 tenths. It takes 10 tenths to make 1. Every time you move back a place value, it becomes worth 10. If I moved it back here, it'd be worth 100. If I moved it all the way here, it'd be 1,000. But why would I move that far back? I just need to go 1 space. So I'm going to move here, and now I've got to put 10 dots to replace it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I have 13 total. Now I still need to divide by 2. And what I've done is I've just taken my 1 and I made it tenths. When we write 1 as a number, we could write it as 1.0. So it means 1 whole, but it could also mean 10 tenths because there's the unit. 10 is the number I have, 10 tenths. So I've moved it over here with the 3 I already have. I've got 13 now. Now I can divide them up evenly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Whoa. So I have 13 and I'm already at 12. If I go 13 here, it's going to be uneven. So now I know, let's see, I've crossed off 12 of these so far. There's my 10 on the bottom and 2 up here. I've got 1 left. So this 1 left is going to go over here. But it's going to become 10. Now over here I've got 10 plus 2 more, that's 12 hundredths. Now I can split those up, and I think that's going to work pretty evenly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That worked out pretty evenly. We're good to go there. And now we've got 4 in the thousandths, so we'll split those up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, that worked pretty well too. It was nice and even. Now all I've got to do is count one of these, because when we divide, we're saying 1 and 324 thousandths divided into 2 groups. And our answer is telling us, well, how much would be in one of those 2 groups. So in one group, I have this. So what is that number? Well, let's see. There's 0 ones. There are 6 tenths. There are 6 hundredths. And there are 2 thousandths. So it's 662 thousandths. Now, if somehow I ended up with more than 9, a 10 or more, I would know I did something wrong. All right, so now we're going to do the long division method, and we're going to kind of compare and see the difference here. So let's start 2 into 1. We can't really do that, can we? 2's larger, we can't take it into 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over 2 spots here. I'm going to take it into a 2-digit number. I can handle that. 2 goes into 13. Well, I know 2 times 6 equals 12, so that's the closest I'm going to get. So I'm going to put a 6 up here. What I just did was the same thing I did over here. I said, well, I'm going to just take this 1 and move it over to the tenths and become 10 more tenths. So I've got 13 tenths. That's what I did right here. I took 2 into 13 tenths. And I found out that I could put 6 in there, but I would still have 1 left over. So watch. Let's check it. 6 times 2 is 12. I'm going to line it up down here. And I'm going to subtract 13 minus 12. If you want to keep that decimal going, you can. 13 minus 12 is 1. So I had 1 left over, just like here. Well, when I had the 1 left over here, I put it with the hundredths. So let's bring down the hundredths and put it next to it, because that 1/10 is worth 10 hundredths. So now I have 12 hundredths total. 2 goes into 12 6 times, so I'm going to put it up there above the hundredths place. 6 times 2 is 12. I'm doing this so that I can check it, so I'm going to line everything up and see if I have anything left over. I do not. I've got a 0, but I can't stop because I haven't got to the thousandths place yet. So I'm going to move my thousandths down and get a 4 here. It's the same thing we did here. We didn't have any left over in the hundredths. We went over to the thousandths place. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4, so that we can check it. 4 minus 4 is 0. Nothing left over, so we're done. We've got our number, but hold on, because you got to look at stuff. Does it make sense? Does it make sense that 1 and 324 thousandths divided by 2 would be 662? Of course not. So look at the decimal here. The decimal is just going to go straight up to where it was. We'll put a 0 to hold our place. 662 thousandths is the correct answer. So that's how you do these problems. You can use this method. You can use the long division. Either one will get you the same thing because they're really the same steps.